What's up, guys? It's Braden Sky. Thank you for tuning back into the Braden Sky Show, episode number 9. Today's guest is FBA Makayla, who is a very busy girl. She is the owner of an Amazon FBA business that she took from 0 to $1 million in her first year, which is absolutely insane. She has also recently started a private label brand and also is rehabbing a rental property and also is the co-founder of Oregon Prep Center, all at the bright young age of 23. I think regardless of whether or not you're an Amazon seller, if you're interested in entrepreneurship at all, you'll get a lot of value out of this conversation. Let's get straight into it. All right, Makayla, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good, thanks. I really appreciate you coming on the podcast. I know that you are a really busy girl. First thing I want to ask, because I see honestly new projects that you're doing on Instagram all the time. What is everything that you've got on your plate right now?
So I have my original store, which I did 7 figures on. Then I have my private label store that I just launched a couple weeks ago. Doing real estate. I am a co-owner of a prep center in Oregon. I do mentoring and coaching.
I think you also you have a lead list too. I think I saw literally this morning.
Yeah, I used to do that, not anymore. I'm trying to get kind of more focused on a few things and really master those first.
I like how you say you're trying to focus on a few things as if you're not doing I think you named off 5 of them.
Yeah.
I see you on Instagram every day. Are you remodeling your rental property or is that your primary residence?
No, we're remodeling my rental property and it should be done in the next probably month or a little less than a month, maybe 3 weeks.
Okay, so right now, let's go a little bit back actually. I like to ask this question to e-commerce people because the answers are always insane. How old are you and how much revenue did you do in the last month?
I'm 23. I'm gonna be 24 next month. And I've done 170,000 this month so far in revenue.
I thought you were 23 or 24. 23 is even more insane.
Yeah.
Do you realize how crazy that is? When you say that out loud, do you pause for a second? You're like, dude, I'm 23. I did 170,000 last year or last month.
I'm never satisfied. I don't know. I just have that mindset that I know that's a lot of money. I understand that because I came from pretty much nothing because I was a college kid. I was trying to get to medical school. I didn't have a full-time job. So I had, just my savings in my account that I'd saved up from odd jobs and summer jobs, from the time I was 16 all the way up until just a few years ago. So it is a lot of money. It's life-changing stuff, but you know what I mean? I don't know. I guess I see the potential and where I could go and how much further I could take this. So never stay satisfied.
So I'm really interested to see how far you actually think you can take it because I'm like I was telling you before the call, I'm brand new to online arbitrage. Right now, in the last week, I've done 2 sales, so a total revenue of $56. So I am, fresh as can be. And the reason why I really wanted to talk to you as the first person that I interview in the space, outside of Oscar Martinez, who he got me into it, and I think he actually recommended that I follow you. I think that's how I found you. So
he's cool.
Yeah, shout out to him.
Yep.
You did what my goal is, which is that you did $1 million in your first year. And that's what I want to do. That's the goal that I'm setting right now publicly, holding myself to it. Everyone else can hold me to it. I've already spent, I've done $50 in revenue this week. So brand new, but I've also already spent $10,000 in inventory since starting. And, the stars are aligned to where I do think that I can do that. But I'm really interested to see how at 23 years old, you started a company and within a year hit $1 million. Let's go with your hero's journey first. Then I've got some specifics that some specific questions that I want to ask you that hopefully will help all the people that I will send this to, because pretty much what my plan is after I hit the $1 million, fingers crossed, when someone asks me hey, can you teach it to me? I'm just gonna be here, listen to all these fucking podcasts, listen to these videos. I was here's what I learned. Go learn this, Take me back to, because I've listened to a couple of your podcasts. Take me back to eBay. Was that your first business?
Yeah, I mean, well, technically I did just like consoles. I was flipping consoles, just locally first. So that
Consoles
I'll
like
kind
PlayStations,
of,
Xboxes?
yeah, so like Xboxes, PlayStations, I was just slinging them around where I live. I was making pretty good money. And then somebody recommended me to get into botting. And I was like, I don't even know what botting is, how does that work? And he's like, I know somebody that does this full time. He lives off of it. So at the time I was trying to get to medical school. I wasn't planning on, making this my full-time income or anything. So I was like, yeah, I'll take a look at it. So I got into a small cook group, and then that led me to eventually selling on eBay. And then after the market crashed on like GPUs and stuff because of Bitcoin going down, and then there's just oversaturated amounts of them on the market. So then I was like, I have to find something else to pay for my student loans because I had student loan payments. And like I said, didn't have a full-time job at that time, so needed that extra income. So then I was in another cook group, a bigger one, and somebody was saying that they were taking people for like an Amazon like mentoring group. And I was like, huh. And before that, I actually tried Amazon by myself, and I just gave up because of the ungating process. I had no idea what I was doing. At that time, I didn't even think to look on YouTube. I didn't know there was a community as big as the one we have
It was
now.
massive.
I had no idea any of this existed. So I just gave up, and I was like, you know what I mean? Like, what else am I going to do? And then that's whenever I happened to see that on one of my cook groups. And I was like, man, I'll try this. So, I ended up getting into that little small mentoring group, and then pretty much the rest is history.
When you say a cook group, what is that?
A cook group is like a group that provides you like a bunch of knowledge and like information regarding like drops, like hot products you could buy that you could flip on Amazon or eBay, like ticket sales. So like people in one of my groups sold a bunch of like tickets, like they'd buy like Adele tickets for, face value, and then they'd turn around and flip them, maybe a couple weeks later for like a 5x. So it just has just a bunch of random, just different hot items or stuff that people are selling for an increased markup.
So you basically like when you say you were botting, pretty much was that with sneakers, or that was with consoles, and you could actually
I did
just
I did some sneakers. I didn't really like it that much. But I did mostly GPUs, consoles, and then like some collectible toys, like stuff that was like on Walmart or Target, whatever, like something that people couldn't find. Like you had to like have a bot in order to kind of get it.
And with that, you were like how many months had passed before you started that to when you decided like, let me try this Amazon thing the second time when you actually decided like, hey, let me go for it.
I think it's about 4 months, 4 months in.
Okay. And were your revenues impressive at all?
Yeah, I was doing pretty good numbers on eBay, but I also was selling like electronics. I think like my second month, or it might have been my first month in, like my first real month, I think I did like around 75,000 in sales on eBay. But
In a month?
yeah.
Oh, so you're used to playing with big numbers.
Yeah, yeah, that's it, it helps a lot with your confidence and stuff. Spending large amounts of money whenever you've done it before. And
So
eBay's great because you get paid out faster. So like I didn't have to have, $75,000. I had way less than that. I was just working with a tiny amount, but I was able to keep like recycling it really fast because I got paid out literally like the next day, and sometimes the same day. So after I kind of, further into it.
how much did you start with?
I started with my savings. So I think I had like 3 or 4 grand, and then I ended up getting an American Express, the blue card, and it had a $10,000 limit on it.
Damn, they gave you $10,000 right off the bat as a brand new business.
Yeah.
That's cool. I mean, 0% interest too, right?
Hmm.
Yeah. Okay. So I mean, you basically started with 3,000. You leveraged up pretty heavily, but it was like a calculated risk. Um,
Yeah.
75,000. What are the margins, like profit margins on that?
It was at least 20.
That was
I
like
don't
20%.
20%. Yeah, I didn't have it like completely. I was not even really doing it like I didn't have like it kept up in books and stuff because like at the time like I had like you know what I mean. I wasn't planning on forever, so I was just like yeah, like whatever money you know what I mean, like whatever money I made, but it ended up being close to 20%.
So you were just looking for a side hustle, then you ended up doing
Yeah,
15,000 profit a
I
month.
had like $400 worth of student loans every month. And then so I just did that much. And that's honestly what I was living on.
Yeah. That's pretty hilarious because my goals with this business are completely different than my goals with the Facebook Marketplace drop shipping business. My goals with that was I just wanted to make $500 a month. That way I could go live with the girl I was dating with at the time in Bucaramanga, Colombia, which is like the cheapest major city in South America. I just wanted to make $500 a month. I was like, dude, if I can make $13 a day, I think was the math on that. I was like, I'd be so stoked. I can go river rafting in Sand Hill and I can, try surfing and like it spiraled so quickly into so much more than that. Like with e-commerce, you can scale to, I'm sure that you can scale to unbelievable levels.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So when you started Amazon, what did you think was going to happen?
My main objective was to pay for my medical school loans. So I knew I was going to be taking out close to 50 a year. So, and then I had like close to 35,000 already from undergrad. So I knew that my payments were going to be pretty big. So I needed to at least make some money to kind of help offset it so that I wasn't in debt for like a trillion years. Mm-hmm. But that was honestly, that was the only thing. I wasn't looking to become, wealthy with this. I wasn't planning on, like I said, not doing this full time. Like it was never my goal. It was just to make money so that when I was in medical school, that I didn't have to rely so much on loans because you can't get a job when you're in medical school. So I knew that like if I ran out of money from my loans, like, you know what I mean? Like that's it.
Mm-hmm. Are you still going to school?
No, I actually declined my acceptance, which people probably thought I was really crazy. I declined it back in June. I had to have ankle surgery and then it failed. So then I had to have surgery again. And I knew that I couldn't there's no way I could function 2 hours away on crutches in a cast. Like, no, there's just no way. So I was living by myself. And so I just declined it and then just kind of went balls to the walls with this instead.
What were you planning to become?
I was really interested in sports medicine because of my background. I played sports a lot when I was in school, and I love sports, football. Big Steelers fan. So I was really just interested in that. I want to be able to help other athletes because I've had multiple surgeries on my legs and stuff, so I kind of know how it feels to give up sports and stuff because of injuries.
What's going on with your legs? Why do you have so many surgeries?
Dude, my legs are so messed up.
You're 23.
So like when I was born, I have it's a genetic condition that my femurs and my tibias are rotated out. So like I walked like this, I walked duck-footed.
The duck-footed, yeah.
And like the longest time I had no idea this was going on because it was natural for me. Like growing up, I had knee issues. I wasn't able to run. I walked funny, but like at the time I had no idea I was different than anybody else. All I knew that my legs were just crap and I had no idea why. But then I had my hamstring fixed. I tore my hamstring punting a football. So I had that fixed. And that's when we discovered that my legs had some torsion. And so I got it fixed 3 years ago now. And the guy messed it up very badly.
So you got one botched surgery that led to 20 more?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. And so I had the right side fixed multiple times. And then now I'm going through the same thing with the left side. I have to get the bottom fixed probably again here soon.
Okay. Let's jump to where you are at now. Congratulations, by the way. I know you just passed like last week. You passed 7 figures. That's incredible. What percentage of your revenue right now is OA versus wholesale?
This month I'd say maybe 80-20, 80 wholesale, 20 OA. But in December it was probably the opposite. 80 OA, 20 wholesale. So it flips around depending on when I want to do wholesale and I want to, full send that, but there are opportunities in time that it'd be beneficial for you to at least diversify. So like during back to school season, Q4, obviously I knew that I was going to be passing up on a lot of opportunities if I just excluded OA and just went with wholesale 100%. So like I will adjust as time goes on. I'm not just going to be 100% one or the other anymore. There's always going to probably be some kind of shade of each.
I think that seems like the better way to do it because, eventually I think most people that are doing online arbitrage eventually want to progress into wholesale. It just seems simpler. You don't have to deal with order cancellations.
Yeah.
You just find one supplier. Natural progression, right? It's like someone going from like a concert promoter to like a real estate agent. Just for whatever reason, it just happens. So going from like everyone wants to progress to wholesale, but I think there is, even if you're completely wholesale, I think there still is a really good place for like online arbitrage, because right now I've got a deal on Bed Bath & Beyond where I'm getting 55% off.
That's legit.
Which is like better than Keystone pricing. So, that like I'm buying products that honestly, I'm probably buying them cheaper than someone who's buying them buying them from a wholesale supplier can buy them. So,
yeah, essentially,
yeah. I mean, what is wholesale usually like? It's about Keystone, right? It's about 50%.
Yeah, it depends. I mean, there's some places that you can get a lot better of deals, and then there's some wholesalers that think they're sly, and then they'll give you like a price, and you're like, I know that's not the best price you can get me. So it depends. Like there's some wholesalers that I can get a really good deal, like crazy amounts of discounts, but then there's some and you just have to pass up on them. I'm like, dude, that's pretty much MSRP. Like I could go out to the store and buy it right now. You know what I mean? If you offer it for me for $18.50 and I go buy it for $18.99, like at the store, what kind of discount is that? Like,
yeah, I was looking for some ungates, and I found a brand that was really difficult to ungate because the max that I could find was like 6 of a quantity. So you can't really buy 10 from any like retail suppliers that I could find. So I was looking for some wholesalers. Some of these motherfuckers had the exact same price as MSRP, sometimes higher. So I was like, I could buy it from you for 90 and sell it on Amazon for 70. I was like, dude, like, how does this make any sense? Like, how are you a wholesale supplier? Like, who are your clients?
and that happens more often than what people think. Like I'm like, I can't even buy that. Like there's no room for anything. Like it's MSRP.
Yeah, like I've got negative margin, dude. Like this doesn't work.
Yeah, exactly. Makes no sense.
Oh man, I've got so many fucking things that I want to talk to you about. I don't even know where to start. Do you sell hazmat?
I can now, yeah. So Amazon invited me to the program to do dangerous good and hazmat. That was like probably 3 months ago. And I was like, yeah, sure, I'll do it. And I submitted the information, and it took them literally like 2.5 months to finally let me send in stuff. And I'm like, okay. So finally, like I said, just a few weeks ago, I was finally able to send in hazmat. So I don't even think I have anything hazmat right now because it's just so I've been waiting, you know what I mean? Like waiting for it to open up.
Are you here?
Yep.
Oh, okay. I think my Wi-Fi dropped for a little. By the way, if my Wi-Fi drops completely, let's just take a quick break. Sometimes the Wi-Fi at the co-work space that I'm in, they have me re-enter their password. Whatever.
It's okay.
It's kind of frustrating, but every 2 hours I have to re-enter the Wi-Fi password to make sure that so they can make sure that I'm paying. If that happens, sorry. Why don't you focus on one thing?
I mean, I did for the longest time. Not really the longest time, but I did for a while. I don't know. I like not having all of my eggs in one basket. I've met a lot of great people over time, and they've taught me some things, and it makes sense in some situations. Some people don't like diversifying. They like to just go all in, and that's fine too. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but there's always that thought in the back of your head, like, what if something goes wrong with my store? Like, do I have something else that I could, replace when you focus on one source of income and that's your only income and something happens to it, like what if your account gets suspended? Or like, there's all kinds of things that could happen. So I always kind of want to have a backup plan in mind. So like, that's why I got involved in real estate, because then I can also have another, source of income in the event that something does go wrong. Hopefully it doesn't go wrong, but like, I'd rather be prepared, I guess.
Yeah. That was one of the things I've been really thinking about recently is like what could make this business model fail. And I'm thinking, I think Alex Hormozi said this. Like arbitrage is like the second oldest business model in the world.
Mhm.
Don't have to mention what the first one is, but I think like the only way that online arbitrage wouldn't work is if all prices on all websites were exactly the same and there was no price fluctuation and there was no such thing as a coupon or a discount or cash back or gift cards. And everything was just the same price all the time. And that's not how the world works. And
No.
there's no such thing as sales, right? That's not how the real world works at all. And as long as there's sales, like there's opportunity to be had because there's price discrepancies. So I think the only way that then also if no one was buying on Amazon, that would be another way that online arbitrage wouldn't work. But I think Amazon's got a pretty stable business model,
Yeah.
pretty consistent year-over-year growth, So I think like online arbitrage like this is going to be around, I think probably forever. But I think the only way that this could fail is account suspensions. And then I was also thinking after listening to an insurance podcast, some lawsuits could also be one of the risks. What are the other risks that are associated with online arbitrage? Like how could this not have a 100% chance of success?
I honestly like the thing that scares me is the account suspension. And I know that if you just do things the right way, usually it's gonna all work out. But then there's some cases where, people get suspended by accident or like, they didn't really do anything wrong and Amazon thought they were doing something wrong and then their account got shut down or like their number one selling ASIN got restricted or whatever the case may be. So that's honestly like the biggest one for me that I worry about.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm just getting started. And honestly, that's already worrying me. Just thinking about like, hey,
Yeah.
what if I'm selling this product? There's no reason to think there would be an IP complaint. Oh, whoops, doesn't matter. The IP complaint you, and now your account got shut down, and all the money that I invested into this like didn't work. Does that scare you on a day-to-day basis? Like, how often do you think about like account suspensions and that being a real possibility that could end your business just at any point?
I think about it a lot more now that I'm scaling and I'm
Mm-hmm.
taking on additional sources of funding. So I'm like, okay, if I take this loan, what happens if my account gets suspended? Or you know what I mean? Like I always want to make sure that I keep those things in mind, and make a really good informed decision on, kind of how much money I want to take on, how much I want to leverage myself. I don't want to over leverage myself. I want to make sure that life doesn't just blow up into pieces if my account gets suspended. That's
Yeah.
my main.
Yeah, that's a good safety net to set. How much leverage are you using?
I mostly just use credit cards, so like I have an American Express Plum card, and I can rack up close to 160,000 on that one alone. So
Mm-hmm.
that one, but I also keep cash in reserve as well. Like I said, try to minimize as much risk. But when you're scaling aggressively, I mean, it's no secret, that I'm obviously over leveraging myself in some capacity. I couldn't go from 0 to 1 million without doing so. It's just knowing the risks involved and making sure that you're trying to, whatever steps you have to take in order to help prevent as much of a mess as possible. That's what I
Mm-hmm.
try to do. And then I did take an Amazon loan, and then I took another outside loan about a month ago now. It was for like Amazon sellers. So
What were those terms?
I got 80 for one was 4% and the other was, well, it was split up into two. I took 40 at a time because I didn't want, like I said, don't want to over leverage myself. They offered me 80. I was like, let me take half of it and see what I can do with it, make
Mm-hmm.
sure that I'm not taking on too much. So I took 40 at 4%, and then I took the other 40 at, I think it was like 6 or 7%. So it wasn't that bad. I mean, it's interest, I understand that, but
That's pretty
because
low.
of Christmas, I made, a lot of money off of that loan. So like it was very small in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah, I'm kind of thinking like you could maintain your consistent cash flow, like Q1, yes, Q2, yes, Q3, yes, Q4. You should probably take out some leverage.
Yeah, that's when I was like, yeah, I normally I would be like, like, do I really? But with that, I had some really good opportunities handed to me, so I was like, I really need that extra 80, so I ended up taking it all, and like I said, I made that back and a bunch more. So
Opportunities just meaning like really good leads.
yeah, I had really good leads. I cranked out like probably I think it was over 2,500 FBM orders last month alone, so I was able to churn that capital very quickly.
That is insane.
Yeah, it was nuts. Those times that I just like, I remember I got home from physical therapy and I looked at the orders and I had 500 orders like ready for that day. I just looked at the computer. I was like, looked at my mom. I said, Mom, I don't think I can do this. Like
Yeah.
I had like tears, like, like I'm like, I don't know if I could actually do this. But we ended up doing it. It worked out, and it sucked at the time. But now I looked back at it, and you know what I mean. It was worth it. So
Mhm.
that's all that matters.
I'm just picturing you with like bad legs, walking around with a duck foot, you know,
Yeah.
picking up 2,000 or 500 packages in a single day. You're hunched over, like taping them up. For the people that are new to Amazon, by the way, FBM is where you fulfill the orders yourself. FBA is where Amazon fulfills them for you. So literally her in her garage in a single day, she's boxing up 500 units, slapping a shipping label on them and sending them to the post office or UPS or whatever. Um, that's insane.
Yeah.
So which like shipping carrier do you usually use?
USPS, and they came out 5 or 6 times that day.
Okay, so you're not actually going to the post office and
No,
standing in line with 500 units.
no, no. Now, actually, I'm getting my own personal like truck that comes out just for my pickups. So
That's badass.
after that whole ordeal with the 500 boxes last month, and then like over to 2,500, they submitted, I guess, a case for me to get like my own.
They're like, we're just gonna send a guy.
Yeah, they're literally just gonna send a guy in one of those the actual like trucks, and because like the way that we were doing it before was they were all bringing out their personal vehicles, like whatever, it wasn't like a mail truck. So like obviously those vehicles are smaller, so then
Mhm.
they were having to bring people out like multiple times a day. So now with this truck, at least it should be happening here in the next few weeks, but it should take care of most of those.
So they were just sending one of their employees with their personal car to come pick up your packages.
The postmaster personally came out here and picked them up as well.
That is what an experience.
Yeah, it was crazy, but
I was just
I
thinking because I didn't realize they would just come grab you, but I was thinking how hilarious it would be if you were just standing in line and like let's say you're in a rush, you're trying to get to work, you're just an average dude. You only have like a 1 hour lunch break trying to drop off this package at the post office real quick, and this girl in front of you is scanning 500 boxes.
was at UPS at the UPS store. I would bring in like 20 boxes. I would fill the car completely full boxes, and I'd just sit there and we would just bring them out, and people would be so mad. He's like, sorry.
If they're like running late, I'd be so mad at you. I'd be like, lady, what are you doing?
Yeah, it was a busy one too. Like it wasn't something. It wasn't like a non-busy time either. I usually went around like lunchtime, and so people would get for lunch and they drop packages off, and so now I have it picked up though. So
Mhm. What's the highest amount that you had on on your Amex at one point?
I think it was close to 175 during Christmas with that loan, and then I had took an Amazon loan about a month prior to that as well. So it was I got a bigger amount. It was like, so when I started, I had like 25K on my card during the summer, and I've
Mhm.
worked my way almost, I think it's roughly now like 160. Amazon. American Express gets kind of hairy when you put a large amount on there.
Mhm.
And Amazon's holding like $70,000 worth of my money right now. So like my card needs to be paid off here in the next like month. So I'm just kind of chilling, waiting for my money.
What do your parents think about their 23-year-old daughter having $170,000 in credit card debt?
I don't think my dad knows. how much I carry on my card.
Okay. What do your parents think about like just the whole, let's like not even including like the other businesses, but let's say just the Amazon business. What do they think about that?
They're very supportive. So like, I mean, I sat down with them and I was like, hey, like, I don't think that my body's going to hold up to do this whole medical thing. Like, I wanted to be a doctor since I could remember, but like everything that has happened over the last like 4 years, like 13 surgeries, like crazy. Like, I don't think it's right for me right now. And I said, I think it's best for me to decline my acceptance, even though I've worked really hard to get to that point. And they're like, yeah, like whatever you feel like you want to do, like you're not going to disappoint us just because, it was kind of like I guess like an ego check. Not that I had an ego, but like I was trying to go from a very prestigious, like high title, becoming a doctor, that was, you know what I mean? Like that was something that I was really proud of. And then when I told him like, hey, like I'm going to become an Amazon seller.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It kind of, you know what I mean? Like whenever, so I went to a wedding, a friend of mine, and we were all sitting at a table. And like I didn't know these other people. I brought my boyfriend with me, and they were friends of the groom, and I was friends with the bride. So we went around and everyone asked each other, their name, what they did, and everything. And like they came to me, and I was like, "Hi, I'm Makayla, and I sell on Amazon." And then like the faces that people were just like, "What?" So like, you know what I mean? It's kind of one of those things that it sucks kind of for me from the beginning, like I said, trying to come from medical school to go to that. Um, I don't know, but I'm used to it now. You know what I mean? I actually I'm proud to be an Amazon seller. So I've
Mm-hmm.
evolved with that concept. It was sucky though. I mean, people just give you that look like you gave up your medical school acceptance to become an Amazon seller. Like, you're selling stuff out of your house? Like, do you make like $10? Like, do you make $10 a month?
They're
Like,
like, do you need like financial assistance? Because I can loan you some money if you need some.
yeah, I'm like, well, joke's on you.
You're like, well, Q4 is coming up, so actually I could take some of that loan
Yeah,
money.
yeah. I mean, you got money. But no, they've
How
been super.
they've been super supportive.
Did they actually help me? So I had ankle surgery 4 times last year. So I was on crutches and I was on an e-scooter for the longest time.
Mm-hmm.
So I couldn't physically carry packages. So I had to have my family obviously help me carry those. And they helped me during quarter 4. Like we did those 500 boxes together. I have my sister working for me whenever she can because she has an actual job. But yeah, they help.
Do they know all the numbers?
How much I make
Yeah.
and stuff.
No?
Well, I mean, after I bought my Jaguar, I think it kind of was like, okay, like Makayla's actually making some good money.
Yeah. It's like,
But
oh,
they
she's
know
not doing minimum wage. She's like we packed
no,
up
no,
500 boxes. Like she's doing well for herself.
no. Then they know they know I did $1 million in revenue in the
Okay.
last year. We're gonna go celebrate at some point in time. I'm too busy to go out
Too
to eat.
busy. I see
You
on
know what
your
I mean?
Instagram, I'm like, I can't believe that like while you're going from 0 to 1 million, that's insanely impressive, just from like just for that one business. But like I don't even see you posting about your business. Like you're just like painting cabinets and like you're focused on like a
That's
rental property
awful.
flip. I'm like, how is she doing this?
Good team, a good support system and a good team. Like I have my family help me and I have my wholesale team and my manager, Carl, he holds it down for me while I'm like the last, probably month since I've got the house, I've not been really super into my Amazon business and it, you know what I mean? It's not like I want to be like that. It's just things have been shifting around and he's been holding it down for me and we're gonna do our best month non Q4 this month. So
Mhm.
it really helps to have a good support system.
Is your team mostly in person or are they VAs?
No, they're all from the Philippines. They actually
All of
know each
them.
other.
Okay.
Yeah, I
Really?
have a husband and wife working for me. So my
Mhm.
manager and his wife works for me. And then my other VA, she worked for my manager at a previous store.
Okay. Interesting. Did you
Yeah,
just
we
find
know
them
each
on
other.
online jobs?
Yeah, I found my manager from online jobs and then I had him for like a week and he's like, I'm overloaded. Like we're getting so many accounts, we're getting so many catalogs. Like I need some help. He said, I know somebody that we could hire. He said, somebody that I worked with before. So we hired her. And then I had that third spot open for the longest time because I kept getting people who said that they knew what they were doing. And then I would like test them and then they would have no idea. Like they would not know how to search through a catalog, even though they're telling me everything I want to hear. But
Yeah,
like,
of course.
you have to walk the walk. You know, you can talk the talk, but you have to walk the walk. And they were never walking the walk. They just were completely I don't even know what they were doing. But I finally ended up fulfilling that that third spot because he's like, hey, I know somebody that would be perfect for this job. I'm like, who? And he's like, my wife. And I'm like, sure, why not? Let's throw in the mix. And they work all super well together. So like I couldn't have a better team.
I had a husband and wife combo of VAs. I originally hired the wife, and I literally could not believe how good of an employee she was. Like my Facebook business went completely exponential, and I was planning to only need her part time. 2-3 weeks later, she's working 16 hours a day every day. So I was like aggressively hiring. She was like, my husband knows how to do this. I was like, fuck it, let's hire him. Let's get him on boarded. Let's go.
Yeah, that's the best way to do it.
It did suck though, because she did something that I had to fire her over, and we couldn't let her continue to have access to like our product catalog. So I had to let him go too, even though he did nothing wrong. So yeah, that's one of the downsides. What is the like when you're hiring VAs, you said like you test them. What do your tests look like?
So I usually give them on my application, you know, I make sure that they're reading it and everything. You know, you add like what's your favorite color, and sometimes you can add stuff like in the subject line so that that they actually read your application. So that's the number one test. If you don't fulfill that, then you're automatically trashed. Like that
Yeah.
application is trashed. Like not even look at it. So that's number one. Number two, I get them on the phone. Either I like to do it over like Zoom or Google Meet or whatever, just so I can see them and it's more personable. So I do that usually, and then I ask them a lot of questions, you know, ask them about their experience, you know, what they're good at, what they're not good at, and then if they meet me, if they, you know, do good and I feel like, okay, like I'll give them a chance, then I give them a one week trial basis. I still pay them. I pay them $100 for the week, and I have them go through catalogs and I closely watch them because we share like a shared Google sheet that all of us have our own tabs. So I can closely watch, and then I have my manager, he's closely watching them too whenever I'm not, because they work on their time. You know, I don't make them switch to time. I don't feel like that's just, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I want you to work on your time. I want you to be comfortable. I want it works best for you. As long as you're getting the job done, and we can still do well that way. So we can do it like that. So he's watching them whenever it's, you know, my nighttime. And then we kind of come together and we talk about it. And usually I can pick up on it pretty fast. If I give you a task and I tell you exactly what I want, like I'm not just like, here you go, like here's this task, like do it. No, I sit down with them before we do like a group meeting before any new hire starts, and we go over our roles and how it's going to work, and everyone knows each other, everything, how to get a hold of each other. We have a group chat, tell them what exactly the criteria I want, what I want done from them. And so when they do it and I see that they're struggling with it, then I know, okay, there we go. And then I like I said, I give them the week. So like if they have a bad day, I understand, like not everyone's perfect. So if they go that entire week and it's just subpar, then that's when I have to cut you. Like I hate cutting people. I hate it the most. But if you can't do your job, and like we're constantly telling them and teaching them how to do stuff. So like my manager Carl would sit there with one of the applicants, and he literally taught her like how to read a Keepa over again, even though I was like telling, you know what I mean? So like sometimes, you know, you just got to cover them. And it's just how it is.
That is how it is. So you pretty much just set your expectations, and then you give them a week to prove themselves.
Yep. And if you do a good job, I'm not even asking for perfectionism, like not asking for that at all. As long as you can get me some leads that are good, you can read through a catalog, you can understand the instructions, and like we just mesh, then we're good. Like we can work on it. I'm okay with working on things. I don't expect anyone to come to me and be a professional, be a master at it. I'm okay with helping people, but like if I continuously give you instructions and teach you and like try to get you to understand, and you're just like, then I can't, you know what I mean? I can only do so much.
How many people have you had to let go of?
That third spot, I think I went through like 5 people for that third spot.
Damn.
It was rough. I gave up after a while. Like there was probably a good 2-week period of time where I was just like, you know what, Carl, we're not hiring somebody for that third spot. That third spot is like bad news bears. Like
Yeah.
we're not doing it. But then finally he did message me and was like, because he knew. I was like, hey, do you have anyone else? Please tell me you know somebody. Because like these online jobs, it's not working out for me right now. I got a good one and then bad ones. So like, can you help me? And he's at the time his wife was on a contract, so he obviously we couldn't hire her. But then finally, as soon as she got freed from that contract, he's like, yeah, let's hire her. So fingers crossed that that's done for a while.
Nice. I hope it does. Fuck, I just forgot what I was going to ask. I knew it was important. Okay. Next topic. What is the, no, actually, I wanted to ask you this. How was Black Friday?
It was good. I mean, for the most part, it was good. I probably spent at least 40 or 50 grand on Black Friday, and that's not including like after either. There was good sales like the first week of December as well. But the bad thing was that Amazon did me dirty and they cut my inventory just like everybody else.
Yep.
Significantly. Like I had 20K and then I had 10K and then I had like 8K and then 6K and then 5K and now 6K again. So they cut me progressively. Like they just said, go screw yourself. So I mean, when I was purchasing, I was like I can't send that to Amazon. So like that's why I had all that stuff in my garage because I had no room for it. I was maxed out. When you thought that you were gonna have, I knew that there were gonna be cuts. Like I had planned for it, you know what I mean? I wasn't going into it thinking, oh, I'm gonna get my 20,000 spot. I didn't think that. I thought like half, and I was like, okay, I could do half, you know. But then they cut it down to like 5,000, and I'm like,
yeah, like a quarter.
I had 4,000. I had 4,000 in inventory already. So I only had 1,000 spots left. And I'm like, I just ordered $40,000, $50,000 worth of stuff. How's that going to work? So like, that's when I was like, okay, before it was too late. Like I ended up switching over and sending it to my house. I had some sent to my prep center. And by that time I sold through some stuff. So that way it did help. I had to liquidate some stuff just to get it. So I had room. But for the most part, everything was sent to my house. And like, I wasn't going into Q4 thinking, oh, I'm going to do like almost $250,000 worth of sales. Almost, I'd say we were close to 90% FBM in December. I thought it was
through orders.
80. I originally thought it was 80-20, but now that I looked back at my final stuff, yeah, it was like 90%. Like 10% was through Amazon. I did not send hardly anything to Amazon. The only thing I sent to Amazon was a few pallets from my wholesale, and that was it. Everything else, like OA, it was pretty much to my house. Like it was very few things. So I didn't go into Q4 thinking, you know, I was going to do this during Christmas and like I was going to be sending all these packages. Like I wanted to do it like kind of more evenly, you know, have a lot to go to Amazon, FBA, and then once that inventory started drying up, that I'd have some at my house as well. I wasn't expecting my inventory to dry up literally the first week of December. Literally the first week of December, I ran out of everything that was good in my store for like Christmas. So I'm like, what am I supposed to do now? So that's whenever I ended up buying a lot more and sending it to my house again. So it was crazy. We had the UPS driver was out here every single day. He had to bring out a special truck, a box truck for my stuff because I was ordering such large amounts of volume of packages. And like my parents, we had to take my mom's car out of the garage and we had the entire thing full of packages. My dad's garage, my dad has a big garage because we live on a farm. It was full of pallets of stuff. The house, my bedroom, I couldn't see the floor for the longest time.
Oh, you were even putting products in your bedroom.
Yeah, like it was horrible. And our house, like I don't live in like a mansion or anything by any means. It's a rancher house, like a ranch style house. It's nothing like giant, like it's not a 2-story house or anything. We had packages in my parents' room, my sister's room, the hallway, the living room. You couldn't even see the television at some points in time because like we had boxes stacked up right in front of them, in front of the door. It was a safety hazard. Like if the house caught on fire, we would have probably been trapped because the doors were blocked except for like a couple of because it was just, there's such stuff in here. My dad's like, are we getting more stuff? Like, I think he's like, is this it? So then I promised them that it wouldn't get that bad again until maybe back to school season, and then probably Christmas again next year. Well, this year.
But you set the expectation that, hey, it might get this bad again.
Yeah, I said, just be prepared. I said, we're gonna chill out for like the next, how many ever months until we can get back into probably like July-ish, but for back to school again. And then I said, then we can chill a little bit more, and then probably Christmas is probably going to be hectic again. Hopefully it's not as bad, but like I'm just gonna like forewarn you that it may get crazy again.
Mm-hmm. I actually wanted to ask you about that because you did, $1 million last year. You still live with your parents, right?
Yeah.
I respect the shit out of that.
People think it's a bad thing. Like I saw on Twitter the other day, like if you're 23 years old and you still live at your parents' house, then you should just be disappointed in yourself. And I'm like, wait a second. Don't care. Don't care. Like I don't care. You know what I mean? I'm saving money by living here. Can I go and live at a fancy place and move to Miami and live in Brickell and all this other crap with all the other, young entrepreneurs? Yeah, I could easily. Is that what I want to do? No, not really. Would I would love to do that? Yes, but does that make financial sense for me? No, because if you're paying $5,000 in rent every month, just think about that for a minute. $5,000 in rent every month. I could literally put a down payment on a house where I live and rent it out and make, probably around 12 to 20,000 a year extra from that rental property.
How did you get this business perspective?
One of my business partners, shout out to Ricky, smartest man I'd known, like smartest guy. I'm probably gonna send this to him so that his ego can get a little bigger. But he's the one who taught me about real estate. And he's the one who taught me, so I was pretty frugal and I was pretty stingy for the last probably 10 years of my life. Just because I didn't, like I told you, I didn't have a job.
Mm-hmm.
All I was doing was like minimum wage. I was working at like the concession stand at the park where I live, like was making minimum wage. At the time I thought I was like a big baller making that kind of money. So I saved all the money and I bought my first car, helped pay for that. And then I didn't have a whole lot extra from there. I was just doing I started tutoring people because I was really good in math when I was in college. So tutoring people here and there. That's all I had. So like I had that kind of mindset already that like you have to save your money. But I didn't at the time, I didn't realize like how important that is if you want to have like long-term wealth and like using that money to make other money. So like making your money work for you and not you working for money. So like the Rich Dad Poor Dad book, I know it's cliche, but I read that book and that was also another life-changing thing. And just seeing that if you take your money that you work for at a 9 to 5 or whatever, and you put it into other assets that are appreciating, such as real estate, then you can make other money from that money. And then you're just going to keep multiplying it with time. So you start with one house, you end up with 16 houses, then you end up with 40 houses, and then you replace your income and you don't have to work ever again. So that ultimately, so he taught me a lot about real estate. And I probably wouldn't have gotten into real estate as fast because everybody was like, no, at the time, my CPA was like, no, like, I think you're getting too far ahead of yourself. I don't think you should get a rental property. Like, just, you know what I mean? And I'm just like, So like, I was really glad that I had somebody who had been doing it and he's young too. So he understands all the obstacles that, you have to overcome to get real estate when you're young because you can't, like, I couldn't get a traditional mortgage because I don't have a W-2. So I had to pay for mine in cash. And so like
You bought it with cash.
Yeah, I bought in cash. Was it the
Wow.
best decision in the world?
But hey,
Probably
no
not because
mortgage. You got nothing but cash flow now.
yeah, I mean, but I could be doing like a lot better on my Amazon store right now if I had the
Yeah.
extra 60,000 that I spent on that.
Yeah. That's what I was thinking is like,
It's
go
a cheap
ahead.
house though. I mean, 60K for a house. I mean, it's in rough shape. I mean, I have to put an extra probably 25 into it.
Mm-hmm.
But the amount I'm going to be making off of it already in equity is what made me be like, okay, like I'll sacrifice the 60 right now.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm going to cash out, refinance it here in the next probably 3 or 4 weeks. So then I'll get that 60K back out, and then I'm going to make some on the top of that. And then I'm going to take it and I'm going to buy probably 3 or 4 more properties. And then I'm just going to keep on stacking that until I have who knows how many.
Just churning and burning.
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to be more involved in real estate. Not that I don't love Amazon. I love Amazon, but I just really enjoy real estate. Like I love working on that house, even though it like is a pain in the neck sometimes. And just like designing it and making it yours and making it something that you're proud of. Like you're taking something. I just there's a lot of people who are like turnkey investors, like people who love a house that's ready to go and they can rent it out automatically. And that's just not, I thought that's how I was going to be, but then I fell in love with this house, and it's a shack, people call it, but I fixed it up and it looks 10 times better. And it's just like that satisfaction of knowing, like, I took something that nobody wanted. It sat on the market for like 4 or 5 months. Nobody wanted, he dropped the price significantly. I got it for a really good deal. And I'm going to turn it into something that people are gonna be like, man, like, you know what I mean? And I want something that renters can be proud of having. Like, I know I run the risk, obviously, that if they damage it, you know what I mean? But like, I don't know. I just feel better about myself and like my business if I give something to somebody that's actually like something that they can be proud of. Like, oh, I'm renting this house. Like, I love this house. And maybe I'll get better renters, and maybe they'll have more long-term renters because they love the way the house looks. And they know that in the area that I live in, there's a lot of like slumlord people that they just have really dilapidated places that they're renting out for crazy amounts of money. And you know what I mean? I don't know. Like, honestly, I would be happier if I had a house that I was actually proud of.
I mean, you said that you got a house for 60,000. Where do you live?
I live in Ohio, so Ohio is great for real estate.
Gotcha.
Probably shouldn't talk about that too much, but the area that I live in is very good for real estate.
Okay.
Because houses like that, it's a 4-bedroom, 1-bathroom, it's 1,200 square feet. It's a pretty nice layout too. It needed a new roof, so everybody was scared of that. The flooring in the back bedroom, it rotted out, so it needed to be completely replaced. It needed a full gut job, to be honest. I replaced pretty much everything in that house, but the person who owned it before me had it rented out like this. Like, there was no issue, and it was super like
Shitty.
like, I don't know. I wouldn't. I call it the weed house when I first saw it. The person that was in there must have smoked a lot of marijuana because it was hot because it was in the winter time. So like, it was just, you walked in and like that was it. Like, it smacked you right in the face. But the nickname is the weed house. So, but it was one of those things that like, I saw the vision. I saw like what we could make out of it. And now that it's finally coming together, I'm like, I don't regret buying it. And people were like, that house is bad. Like, I don't know why you bought that. Like, I wouldn't have purchased that. That thing was a shack and everything. But no, just wait. Just wait till it's all done. Just wait.
So out of all the things that you could buy as a 23-year-old, the weed shack is the thing that you decide to buy. I fucking love it.
I love that house so much.
I'm excited to see when it's done. If you're living, I thought you were living in Oregon because the Oregon Prep Center. If you're living in Ohio, the products that you're sending to your house to fill up your like your parents' bedroom, are you paying sales tax on that?
Yeah, it's like 7.25% where I live. But if I do, obviously if I send it to Oregon, I try to send as much stuff to Oregon as possible since it's sales tax. And then I'm also a co-owner. So it makes it easier when I don't have to keep touching it. But like I said, I had no space. So, I mean, I had no other option other than to send it to my house. So I did eat the taxes and stuff. But like I said, you got to do what you got to do sometimes.
So that's one of the things coming into the space that I don't understand about everyone else doing. So I mean, I'm in Thailand, and the closest, let's say, Walmart is like 2 or 3 passport stamps away from me. So I couldn't do retail arbitrage if I wanted to, and I couldn't do I don't want to, but I couldn't send any packages to my mom's house and prep them myself. So from day one, the very first product that I purchased, I sent to a prep center. Like, the first thing that I did with it, like my first to do with online arbitrage was get a prep center. And honestly, like, to me, that makes way more sense because if I mean, I'm from Las Vegas, the sales tax rate is like 8% there. So as long as I'm buying something for more than like $10, which is the majority of the products I'm buying anyway, it makes sense to, it's literally cheaper to send it to a prep center and have them do all the work and not be, FBMing 500 packages in a day. It's cheaper just to send it to someone that like what they want to do with their life is, prep products. But it's also, it saves you time, and you could take that time and you could put it into doing product research or getting a rental property or starting a new business. So why does please explain to me why it makes sense for you to pay more money to do more work and not just send things to a prep center?
So whenever I do send them to my house, it's usually FBM. And I make enough money from the offset to offset the taxes, obviously. And then when you couple that with the churning of FBM, it makes more sense for me to at least do some FBM. Do I want to do heavy FBM? No, because I don't have to do that extra work, like you said. But it makes sense for me in the way that I know that even if I pay sales tax, I'm still making enough money, and then plus the added bonus of churning. Because when you do FBM, you send it to your house. It can take, you buy it, you can buy it right now.
Mm-hmm.
Go to Walmart, pick it up right now, post it on there, sell it in the next 2 days. Then you have to wait the period of time, the 10 to 14, I think it is, in order for you to get your money back. But you're churning your capital twice as fast, because you're sending an FBA, then you're waiting 4 to 6 weeks. If you're sending it to a prep center, it could take a week. Then it's going to take, X amount of days to get there. And then it's going to take 4 to 6 weeks, blah, blah, or 2 weeks, whatever it may be at that time. So you're talking about months. I'm talking about weeks. So like I will take the taxes, and I'll take it on the chin, and I'll take the work, because I know that there are really good incentives to doing FBM. And then if I'm doing it, if I'm sending stuff to my house to do FBA, because I was doing that, it was because my wholesaler that I was working with closely, they were locally and they wouldn't send to Oregon. So like if I'm shipping, they're out of Ohio. If I'm shipping from Ohio to Oregon, that's a logistical nightmare for monetary reasons. So I was just like, just send it to my house and we prepped it here. But for the most part, and that's tax free anyway, because it's wholesale.
Yeah.
I'm tax exempt. So for the most part, I only send out, if I send stuff here, it's mostly just FBM. I rarely send out FBA. That's like OA.
Mm-hmm.
For the tax reasons. I don't like paying taxes unless it's I deem it like, okay, like I'm okay with paying taxes because I'm making X amount.
Yeah, I have a moral objection of paying a penny in taxes more than I legally have to. So different,
I understand.
definitely different perspective. Let me ask you this though, because my prep center, and by the way, I literally just went with the very first one that I could find. I did zero vetting. I just said, will you prep my products? Yes. Okay. Here's $10,000 worth of inventory. Go prep it. Right. She will do FBM for me for an FBM fee of $1.50.
Mm-hmm.
And then, also I'm not paying any sales tax because she's in Montana. And then I don't have to physically do any of the work of prepping the products. So I can just sit down in my computer in a co-work space in Thailand and spend 12 hours a day just sourcing products. Like I don't actually have to like box any of the packages up. So I can send products for $2, profit per unit. And I don't care because someone else is doing the work. It's like, yeah, here you go.
I mean, yeah, don't hate on that.
So why don't you do that?
At the time, my prep center, they don't do FBM. So I mean, I could get them to do it if I really wanted them to, but like I really want us to focus on mastering FBA first. So like
Okay.
none of the prep centers I was using, they either A, didn't do FBM, or B, it was way more expensive than $1.50. It was a crazy amount. The one I was using, I can't even remember what it was, but it was at least $3. So I was like, nah. And that's why I was just doing it myself.
Yeah, $3 is a lot different than $1.50.
Yeah. So it was at least $3. But now, I mean, once we kind of get everything in place, we got our people trained, then we can start exploring FBM a little bit more. But for right now, I'd rather us just master one thing at a time, get that down and make sure everybody's, pleased with it and there's no issues.
I like how you say you want to master one thing at a time while having literally 4 businesses.
Yeah.
You're like, I want to master one thing at a time. After I first master online arbitrage, wholesale, private label, prep center, and
Yeah.
rental real estate. So 5 businesses. So
Sometimes I practice what I preach.
I'm really curious about this. Why did you decide to start a prep center?
So I met my business partners through just a Zoom call. Like, didn't know them previously, had no idea who they were. They got in contact with me and I got on the call with them. We talked about online arbitrage and ended up talking to Ricky for the longest time. We talked, months and months about real estate and everything else. And then one day he just was like, "Hey, would you be interested in going to business with us?" I was like, "Yeah, like I like I'm down." Like I've talked to Ricky for months now. I know how he works. We have a very similar mindset of how we run our businesses and stuff. And so we laid it all out and figured out like, okay. And now like looking back at it, like I didn't think it was going to blow up as fast as it did. Like I knew it was going to do well if we really, nailed it right. But like it has blown up. Like we have a lot of people on the wait list right now waiting
Mhm.
to get a spot in our prep center. And like whenever we first posted about the prep center, because it was in the works for months, but nobody knew. I didn't say anything. I only told a select few people that I was friends with because they were looking for prep centers. Like, hey, just like, hey, if you just wait like a month, we're gonna have a prep center up and running. Like, just give me a little bit of time, and we can get you in. So that's like the only people I ever told. So when it was when we like launched it, like overwhelming amount, like my business partners were like, "Oh my God, like, like this was crazy," and so
Mhm.
I don't know, it all spiraled from networking, and that's what I tell people all the time, that networking is very, very important in running a business. You can make so many connections with so many people that you would never have imagined. Like in a million years would I have thought that I would have met two random strangers from Oregon and they would ask me to hop on a plane, fly out there and help them, do the opening of our prep center. No,
Mhm.
never would have imagined. But sometimes the world works in mysterious ways.
So what do they want? Because obviously you're in Ohio, so you're not packaging boxes. What do they want? Like what value did you provide to them in the partnership?
I bring the connections of sellers since I have a
You
bigger
bring the
following.
revenue.
Yeah, I have a
Yeah,
lot of
that makes sense.
big followers.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it. I do like more like the marketing and just like the advertising and I do like people do message me and ask me questions. I do, help out in that kind of
Mhm.
aspect. For the most part, like I can't, you know what I mean? I want to be out there as much as I can, but like Ohio isn't close to Oregon.
It's
And
pretty
like
far.
I said, I have a lot of other businesses and stuff too. So like I can't get on a plane every month and fly out there. I'm hoping to go back out there during the summer because it's crazy how much things have changed since I was just there in November because we have so many more clients and like the shelves are all fixed up. Like when I went, it was just my stuff and a little bit of other people's stuff when we were packaging when I was out there in November. So like it's like crazy. He sent me a picture a couple of days ago of like the place and it just looks and it sucks too because like as much as I just want to be out there and help them because like it's growing at such a fast rate, but then I'm like, you know what, you live in Ohio. You knew this going into it.
Yeah. I think flights shouldn't be that expensive though, right?
Um, when I went with my mom, it was $600.
Jesus, that is 12 times more than I thought it would be.
Yeah. Well, I also booked it like a few weeks in advance because like they told me, "Oh, hey, Makayla, we're getting ready to launch or open up here this week," and I'm like, wait, like why didn't you guys
Mhm.
tell me at the time? Like it was just I don't know, and then I was kind of procrastinating a little bit, so um, that's just life too.
They gave you equity though,
Yeah,
and a profit split.
yeah.
That's badass. So here's another one of the things that, from like an outside perspective looking in, that I don't understand about the OA community, um, because it seems like most people are pretty open books about the suppliers that they use, about how they find their leads, how they get their discounts, their coupon codes, like a lot of things that to me seem a lot more proprietary to each business, and things that you probably, to me, it makes sense to be a little bit more secretive about that. But one thing that very few people want to talk about for reasons that I can't understand is which prep center they use. So why do you think people are so secretive about that?
The reason that I was pretty secretive about mine, not that I was super secretive when I first, not the my actual prep center, but the other one I used, because I was using them. I know how they worked and everything, but like I didn't want to be held responsible for anybody that had issues. So like I didn't want to be like recommend them publicly to people and then somebody, oh, Makayla, the prep center that you recommended to me, they stole from me or they
Yeah.
whatever it may be. Like I just didn't want to be held responsible for that because I don't want to ever put anybody in the situation wherever when they're like something is happening, bad is happening to them, shipments and it ruined their account or whatever it may be, because like anything that I promote is stuff that I personally use. I don't promote stuff just to promote it and get money for it. Like I actually use everything and I'm a member or whatever of that service. Like I don't just promote everything willy-nilly. So like that was like my biggest like concern when I was promoting stuff, publicly, because I was like, I don't want them to come back on me and say, well, Makayla's the one who recommended me this one. And they turned it out, they turned to be a fraud or whatever, because in the prep center, community, there are people out there who are fraudulent. Like there've been multiple prep centers recently that were, in some major heat with some sellers because they weren't sending their stuff out. Some people said that they've had stuff stolen from them, like they were keeping units and then selling it on another store. Like, yeah, crazy stuff has been going on. So then when that has happening, that's when I really was like, no, I can't, you know what I mean? I'm like, I can't really, I don't really feel comfortable. I'll send you a list. So then I started sending Chris Grant's prep center, the comprehensive list. And I'm like, here, like, I can't recommend mine. And mine at the time ended up filling up anyway. So I couldn't really, you know what I mean? They weren't taking any new applications anyway. So I was just like, here, just choose from this, just do your due diligence, talk to them, like whatever you have to do. So I think that's honestly the biggest part of why people are kind of secretive about it.
That makes sense. What are the things that you think is okay to be more like an open book about? And then what are the things that within, let's say, specifically online arbitrage and wholesale, you can split them up if you want or combine them. But like, what are the things that you think makes sense to be secretive about versus just like, hey, here's what I do?
Like the only major thing that I could think of is for like it's wholesale specific, honestly, because I wouldn't want to tell anybody where I get my stuff. Like, you know what I mean? I wouldn't be like, hey, I buy from XYZ supplier or whatever.
Yeah.
But I'll teach you. I'm more than willing to teach you how to find suppliers, where to start looking, all of these techniques. I'll teach you that. And the same thing with online arbitrage. For the most part, I'm pretty open about what I sell. Everybody kind of knows, you know what I mean, what I've been selling. I've never, lied to anybody and said like, hey, I'm selling this, but then actually sold this, because I know some people already know my storefront. So I'm like, there's no point in me lying. I wouldn't lie about it anyway, because there's no reward to me lying. You know what I mean? Like we're all, trying to go after the same goal. There's enough room for everybody. So like, I'm not worried about it. So like, that's the only major thing that I'm like pretty closed mouth about. But there are people out there that like I've talked to and we've shared, and like we kind of know each other buys from these suppliers. You know what I mean? Because like I have mutual connections with my supplier, and like I know like these other people are also buying from them. But for the most part, that's like the only thing that I keep a secret. I tell people, sites to look at. Like when I do Zoom calls and like when I do my mentoring program with John, like we tell you exactly how to find stuff. We tell you the sites that we've shopped, like. And if you don't, if you think we're lying, like just check our store. You probably that my students will probably find my store anyway. So like if they think I'm lying, they could be like, oh, Makayla says she shops at Macy's and she actually doesn't. She buys from here instead. Like I don't know. I just don't see the point of lying, and I don't like gatekeeping information either. When I first started, I was like, why are people really giving out all this information? You know what I mean? I was
That's
like,
where I'm at right now.
yeah. I mean, no, I 100%. I was like, like, isn't that like causing competition? Like, aren't you like just telling the whole world like what you do? And like, can't everybody just do that? And like, when you start getting into it more and you realize that most people that your audience and people that reach out to you, they don't end up working out. Like, and that's just the sad truth. I'm not trying to be mean or anything, but a lot of people have this misconception that like Amazon's easy. It's a get rich quick scheme. Like, I don't put any effort into it. I just make the money. And that's just not how that works. So they have that misconception when they start. And so they just slowly fade out really fast because then they don't see the $10,000 months, you know, and then they just kind of fall off. So like, I know that I'm out there telling people how to do Amazon, but like what percentage of people actually take initiative? And I'd say like this much. That much actually does.
Probably 3%, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. Well, on a good day, maybe.
See, that's something that I'm interested about because, like, I mean, I'm very fucking new to online arbitrage, right? I bought my first. I literally like I decided I wanted to do it 5 weeks ago. I'm brand new, but even then, like, I'm looking at all of the, you know, I'm running the tactical arbitrage scans. I'm doing the product sourcing, and I'm finding just like so much opportunity that I think 2 days ago, I bought like $1,500 worth of profit or products, and you know the estimated profit on that if they sell at the ASP that I'm thinking they're gonna sell at is $400. So like in a day, I did like $400, and I'm like, dude, like why? Like obviously Amazon is a massive market, but I'm like, I know a lot of people fail at this. I don't understand why a lot of people fail at this. This is like, I do not want to give off the impression that like, oh, Amazon is easy. Amazon is a get rich quick scheme, because it's not. And you're going to have to put a lot of capital up front, and you're going to have to put in the hours to learn the business. But I've learned the basics pretty fucking quick, you know, like it's not easy. Honestly, it's not that hard.
No, in the grand scheme of things, like it's not rocket science. Like you know what I mean? Like it's not something extremely hard that nobody can do, obviously, because there are people out there who can do it. And I tell people all the time, if I can do it, you can do it. All it requires, and the rebuttal is, well, you were trying to get a medical school. Yeah, I understand. I'm an intelligent individual. I'm not the smartest human being out there. Don't pretend like I am. I just work really hard. And that was like the main differentiating factor when I was going through college between me and another person. I would work 10 times harder than them. You know, maybe like in chemistry, I was awful at chemistry, awful. And I would spend weeks before a test. And then my friend, she'd spend a day and she'd do better than me. And that's fine. But like, I still did good in my eyes. So like, it's just putting the effort in. You have to work harder than most people. Like if you want to be on top, you've got to do what it takes to get on top, and that means putting the work into it. It's not hard by any means. I don't think it's hard. But does it require a lot of effort and time? Yes. Is it hard at first? Yes, but it's not like not doable.
Mm-hmm. What do you think you did right I mean, because you're 0 to a million. Clearly you did something right. What do you think you did right that other people aren't doing?
Put a lot of time into it. Like the people who are successful, and this needs to be a tweet. The people that you see who have the big, you know, orange bars, and like they have, you know, the luxurious lifestyle, you know, that have money now that came from nothing pretty much, it's because they put the work into it. That's honestly it. They become borderline obsessed with this. So like when I first started, wasn't, like I said, was not planning on doing this full time. So I was like, yeah, you know what I mean? Like, let's just do some stuff, you know? But then I started, you know, really thinking about things. And that's whenever I kind of made that switch in my head, like, this is what you have to do, like, in order to get to where you want to be. Like, do you want to go to a 9 to 5 job that you don't like? Or do we want to do this? And so like when your back's against the wall, that's whenever you see like people will really, really grow, because you know it's either this, the option that you don't want, or it's the good option. You just kind of have to figure out how to make it work. So like there are times that I'd spend like 8 hours a day doing Amazon, and like I wouldn't go out on the weekends. Like I would just do this, and people are like, well, you're just wasting your life away. Yeah, maybe I am, but like in the grand scheme of things, I know that I'm going to retire early, and I know that I'm going to have long-term wealth because I'm sacrificing stuff now. I'd rather sacrifice my 20s than to work a 9 to 5 and then retire a year before I die, or may not even make it to retirement. Mm-hmm. Maybe I just
Have you heard of the book Die with Zero?
No. I'll add that to my list though.
Definitely. I'd say wait a couple more years and then read it.
Okay.
Yeah. Don't add it to your list immediately. It's not a huge deal, but In the back of your head, yeah.
Good mark.
I'd say once you're at, you know, 500,000, 1 million, maybe more in terms of net worth, give that book a read. It's fucking really impactful. I read it 3 months ago, and immediately after that, I was like, okay, I'm actually gonna change my perspective of how much wealth I want to gather. Because I was thinking like, you know, I wanted to have, I was thinking like, yeah, I want to die with a net worth of $100 million. Now I'm like, I don't think I need to have $100 million. I think like 5 million is about the most I ever
Oh,
really
I was
care
gonna
to
say
have.
I'm good with that, man. I live low maintenance lifestyle.
Yeah, I mean, me too. Like, I do not spend a lot of money. I want money to have freedom and security, but like, I don't care to have the Lamborghini anymore. Although I used to. I used to really fucking want a Lamborghini. Now I don't fucking care.
I don't
So
have houses.
yeah, just have a bunch of rental properties, and honestly, not even a bunch. Just have like a couple rental properties where I can just, you know, scuba dive and go climb mountains. I'm a fucking simple dude. So you're aggressively taking out capital because you're trying to scale your business. While we're on the topic, how high do you want to scale it?
See, that's what my dad was asking this. He's like, because I've told him about some people in the space that are making crazy amounts of money, you know, Amazon Lit, Watch Me Amazon, you know, all these people that have
50 million a
really,
year.
really giant stores. And I told him I have no interest in doing that. Not at this point in time. Like I said, I would love to just get into real estate. Would I love to have a mega empire of real estate? Yes. Would I love
Okay.
to have an empire of an Amazon store? Not as much. Because I'm just not. When I went out to the warehouse in Oregon and experienced the warehouse life, don't really think that's for me. I
No.
don't, you know what I mean? Like, just not really being in the warehouse. Before I went out there, I was like, yeah, I want a warehouse. I want to be able to flex on people. I want to be like, yeah, look at my warehouse. I got my goods up in here. Like, the whole thing was about it. And then I really realized, like, I don't know. And then I've talked to people who have had warehouses, and they're like, yeah, like if I could go back in time, I would just do like 3PL or find a prep center or something. Like, I wouldn't mess with the whole warehouse thing. I mean, and I just don't like, I don't like that, and that amount of like stress, and like you have to manage more people, like, and you're
Yes.
managing like people in person, like it's not virtual assistants, like these are people from the United States, like
Yeah.
like it's
And
a
they're
whole
getting
different
United
world,
States wages.
and they're getting United States wages and insurance if you're off insurance and all this other stuff, like all that stuff. I just don't want have any, like people have like asked me and bugged me like, do you want a warehouse, are you going to buy a warehouse, or you know what I mean, like we have land where I live, like
Mm-hmm.
plenty of land to build. I could build a warehouse out here. My dad's asked me multiple times, don't have any interest in doing so. I'd rather just send it to my prep center now that you know what I mean, like it doesn't really make sense for me to have a warehouse anyway because I have one out in Oregon. I'll just send it out to there. And like I said, trying to just get into more real estate, I'd rather have a bunch of single family homes for right now instead of a warehouse.
For the Amazon business, in terms of revenues, how big do you think you want to scale it to where, you know, like at what point in revenue are you, or revenue or profit, are you just gonna say pause? Let's let this business maintain itself. I'm gonna take all this cash flow and I'm gonna buy some properties.
I want to get to 8 figures. That's like the ultimate. I mean, that's I feel like is very doable.
Per year or lifetime?
No, per year, and I think that's it.
Okay.
I
So
think
hit
that
a nice humble $10 million a year. Then at that
yeah, I
point,
think I'd be good with that. That's pretty much it. I
well,
don't think
so
I would want to go much further.
what are your net profit margins right now?
15% usually.
About
It's usually
15.
between 15 and 18, but I
Mm-hmm.
think my average last year was 15.
Okay, so on a million, you made 150,000 profit.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so on 10 million, it'd be a nice humble 1.5 million.
Mm-hmm. I'd be okay with that. That's
Yeah,
very
I wouldn't complain.
yeah. It just, you get, once you start scaling it to a certain point, then you just got, you just gets, you have to hire more employees, and then you're
Mhm.
thinking about warehouses and all that, and like, ugh, I don't know. I'd rather just kind of, I just want to be able to buy properties and then eventually have them managed either like in-house or like somebody prior property manager, and just be able to travel the world. Like I don't want to be tied down to anything. I don't want to be tied down to a warehouse. I don't want to be tied down to whatever, owning whatever business, and I have to be here. Like I just want to be able to kind of just do as I want.
Have you read
And
the
just
4 Hour Work Week?
No, that's on my list though. I haven't had time to read.
Okay,
So
so leave die with zero, put die with zero down, put 4 hour work week at the fucking very top.
okay,
Do
it's
you
downloaded.
understand? Because you said you want to travel the world, and that's kind of, that's like my literal life, right? Do you understand how cheap it is to do that? Like I mean, how far past that milestone you already are?
Mm-hmm. I'm just tied down to some things right now.
You are tied down to a couple things right now. How much do you think my rent is in Chiang Mai?
Not very much.
Take a guess. Throw out a number.
It's like $500 a month.
About half that.
250?
Yeah. I was staying at a place that was 210, but it kind of smelled like
210.
210 a month. Yeah.
Wow.
You could go a lot cheaper.
You can do a lot cheaper than that.
You could do $3 a night.
$3 a night?
Yeah. $100 a month.
Dang.
Yeah. So, you saying like after already currently making 150 grand a year, like you saying like one day I want to travel the world. Like if you got rid of these things that are tying you down to being in the United States, trust me. I mean, so here's one good way to think about it, right? Because I think the next country I'm going to go to, I've already met all my employees, all my VAs in the Philippines. I already met them last year. I had a way bigger team last year. Now I got a pretty small team with just 2 dudes. They're really good guys. I talk to them every day. They're my personal friends. I want to go back and hang out with them. But if you want to know how much it takes to, that's probably going to be the next place I'm going to go, right? If you want to know how much it takes, how much money you need to go to, like how much you would spend in the Philippines, just look at how much you're paying your VAs. How much do you pay your VAs?
$3 to $4 an hour.
$4 per hour times 160. So what, $700 a month?
Yeah.
Okay. So you got grown adults who they have their own house, they've got their bills, I don't know if you have any of your VAs have kids. Some of mine did. So like their salary is $700 a month, right? So you can go to the Philippines and you could live I mean, by the way, $4 an hour, that's a fucking great income over there. You could live very well for $4 an hour in the Philippines. For $700 a month, you're making considerably more than $700 per month. So, we can go. I did just want to stop you right there and just let you know, like, hey, if your goal is like, hey, I want to, just have enough money to travel, this one rental property will pay for that. Even in Ohio, you can rent it out for $700 a month. Just that, if your Amazon business fails, you're fine.
I know. It's definitely like eye-opening to see like how much it costs to live here in the United States and to like live in a good area. Versus like some of the other countries.
Yeah. By the way, I'm in the best area that you could be. Like in Ninh Chiang Mai, like I literally just walk into 7-Eleven to buy some ramen on a fucking lunch break. I'm walking past the nicest, like there's a mission, like literally from my co-work space to the 2-minute walk away from the 7-Eleven, I pass a Michelin star restaurant. Just trying to go buy some ramen noodles and a Red Bull, like in one of these Singha sparkling waters. Like I'm in a nice place. The co-work space I'm in is about somewhere between a 60 to 90-second walk away from my hotel. Right. So my hotel that I'm paying $300 a month in is 3-4 minute walk away from like Michelin star restaurants. Right. I'm not in a shitty part of town. It is very fucking cheap to travel.
I know.
Yeah. Let's get back to online arbitrage, because I don't want to. I think I drilled the point home. If you want to know more,
you did. Yeah, I got you.
and also the people listening, but trust me, it's not expensive in 100 other countries. You could live for sub $1,000. With OA, and this is actually the question that I was going to ask you that I forgot. Do you have your VAs doing OA leads, or is it just sorting through wholesale catalogs?
No, I was handling all the OA for myself. I just couldn't find like a good VA that I meshed well with, that like I think I was just too hard on people because I had kind of in my head how I did things. And like, I was just super good at it, super efficient at it, that I could find leads and they were really good. You know what I mean? Like, and like they would give me leads and I would buy my leads over theirs. So then that's when I was like, okay, we don't need a VA then. Like if we're wasting money, like we got to stop doing that. So they just do a wholesale. That's all three of them do wholesale for me. And I still do the OA myself, which is not a whole lot really anymore.
How much time do you spend? Because I mean, you said like 80% OA during Q4. Like how much time do you, I mean, if it's literally just you doing product sourcing, like how efficient are you at product sourcing?
I took advantage of a few good products. Like I had probably like 10 that sold really well last month. And I honestly didn't spend a whole lot of time sourcing because I found them and just kept replenishing them as soon as they went back in stock, just kept replenishing, and I was good for the entire month. And some of
Wow.
that translates this month as well.
So are you when you're doing OA, do you mostly do replens, or you just like most of your revenue is just coming from like a very few amount of ASINs?
Yeah, so I think I have like maybe 75 active right now total for wholesale and OA. And I think I have a catalog of maybe like 200, 300 total. But I just can't, I don't have enough money to keep everything in stock. Especially now that I do a lot of higher ASP items. So
Wow.
it's a lot harder to buy 500 units of an item that costs $200.
That's insane. So you only have 75 products on your whole store.
That are active right now, yeah, that I have in stock.
I've got like 30. I gotta change my product resource. I gotta change my sourcing strategy 100%.
I mean, when I first started though, I had 200 active. You know what I mean? I went super wide, and that's fine. And I always recommend doing that because then you can figure out what you like to sell, what you don't like to sell, and if say for instance something goes wrong and some of your ASINs get cut and maybe it gets restricted or maybe they just tank, whatever, then you have security net of other ones. But when you start scaling more, you start figuring out which ones what your best sellers are, and then you double down on those. And so that with time, I've just found what's some of the stuff that I've sold that sells really well and that I can keep getting. And then I just double down on those. And like I said, it's kind of hard when you're running at a higher ASP, because if you have 75 ASINs and the average sales price is say $100, that's a lot of money. So
what kind of BSR do you shoot for when you're doing product sourcing?
Under 50. Okay.
Under 50K. Okay. Yeah, I'm doing like 300K right now, so should probably tighten that up a little bit.
I mean, I did 100K when I first started, 100K and under, and that was pretty good. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. But as you go with time, you'll be like, okay, like I need to tighten this up a little bit. Like I need to do 75K, or maybe I need to do 50, or maybe I need to do whatever. But now I think honestly, my average BSR is probably under 25K now.
Wow, that's so.
Yeah,
what are you doing to get profitable products at that BSR?
It's a lot of time. Time finding, because like when I first started, it wasn't like that. I probably my average BSR was in the 70s, and even like recently for wholesale, it was I'd say it was probably 50 or 75, the average. But now that I've kind of changed directions again, since I've done like a couple 180s since I started doing wholesale, I've switched up my categories because I didn't really like how they were selling. And now that I'm in the higher ASP range and the products that I'm selling now, they're all pretty fast selling stuff. So it's just time and experience and trying to figure out what you want to do, because like people sell slower moving stuff all the time, and like these people that have big stores, they have a mixture. They have some fast moving stuff, some slow moving stuff, some medium selling stuff, and that's fine. Like I thought that that's how I wanted to run my business, but you can't compare two stores. It's like comparing apples and oranges. And so you need to do whatever's best for you. And that's when I found out, like, okay, Makayla, that's not how you want to run your store. Like, that's just not how I work. And there's nothing wrong with it, because like I said, there are thousands of people who run their store just like that, and they make way more than I do. But personally, just the way that I run my store and the way that my cash flow works and stuff, I just like having faster selling stuff and higher ASP.
So I know you said that you are okay to be an open book. What do you do for your product sourcing? Are you mostly reverse sourcing? Are you manual sourcing? Are you using tactical arbitrage?
No. So when I was doing a bunch of OA, never used tactical arbitrage, couldn't get it figured out. Like that's just above my head. I tried multiple times. I think I had a subscription at least 5 different times.
You're like, this is the time I'm gonna get it.
Yeah, and I thought every time was going to be the time, and it just never did. So I just kind of cut it off. I'm like, we can't keep giving it chances. So didn't use tactical arbitrage. I just did storefront stocking and reverse or manual sourcing. And I just can go storefront stock, or I would go on a website and just search through the sales, or if I had a coupon or whatever. And then for wholesale, I just Google, honestly. I don't, and you can do storefront stocking and stuff like that, but I'm more efficient at just Google searching. So you just kind of have to figure out what you're best at and what, you know what I mean? Like you got to find whatever your groove is and then do it, because I can tell you, I do it like this and blah, blah, blah. But like you may do it and you'd be like, oh, Makayla, like I can't do it this way. Like I'm better this way. And like, that's why I tell people, pick a method that you're good at and like really like fine tune it and get really good at it.
For the suppliers that you're using, are they big suppliers that most people have heard of, or suppliers that are just like?
No, most of the people that I work with, well, I have a few bigger ones that are like, people have probably heard of them. But for the most part, they're just like smaller distributors that they just get some good big brand stuff. And there a lot of them is like low key stuff. Like I'm just lucky that I happened across their website, or I know somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody.
And then, so for OA, are you just finding, because I want to get into wholesale later, but I got too much going on in my brain for OA. And, like eventually, you know, I'll follow also the logical progression of wholesale is fun. Let me do some private label, and you know, you're kind of speed running the whole logical progression.
Yeah.
But with OA, are you just so like the OA suppliers that you're using are just really small brands? Like you're not using Walmart, Target, Walgreens?
Some of them, you know, that I'll do, but for the most part, I don't really like anything like super flashy. Like if they have a bunch of sale, like Nike, for example, I haven't shopped on Nike.com in like months, because they're just one of those places that they just spam sales, and then like everyone and their mom jumps on them.
And then the price tags.
Do I shop at Walmart, Target, Walgreens occasionally? Yeah. But there's like some other smaller sites that people don't automatically think of, like especially for beauty. There's some interesting sites.
What kind of paid learning did you do to scale so quickly?
I did the roadmap course with Miles and Warner.
Yep,
back in April. Yeah, and then I did Miles' mentoring too back in June.
How much is that?
I think it was 3,000 back whenever, I don't know what it is now, but it was 3,000 whenever I did it. And at the time it was a lot of money, because like I just bought the course, you know, I had money tied up in inventory. At that point in time, I wasn't making very good money. I mean, it was good money if you compare it to some things, but like I was making, you know, like 2K a month. And then like I was trying to then buy a thing for 3K. And then, you know, there's all other kinds of expenses. That didn't even include my expenses either. Like that was 2K profit than whatever my expenses was for that month. So it wasn't like a whole lot. So I was like, man, like, is this really going to be worth it? You know, it's a lot of money to put up front for something that I don't know for sure if I'm going to be able to, you know, make that back. Like, you just don't know. You never know. So I did it, and obviously I made that back and a lot more.
Yeah. Seems like a good investment, right?
Yeah. And that's why people are super reluctant to do courses, mentoring, anything paid, because it is hard-earned money for a lot of people, like working 9-to-5s and stuff. And it can be very expensive, but the thing about that is you're essentially paying for a shortcut. So like whenever people, you know, get mentoring, whatever, you're paying to not make those mistakes that somebody else. So when people pay for our mentoring program, John and I will teach you exactly what we did wrong and how not to do it. Like we are very, like we'll tell you, like, we made this mistake so you don't make that one. And we'll teach you everything that pretty much that we know. And so I don't think that there's a price tag on that, honestly. Like there is no price tag on somebody's knowledge and somebody's like experience, because what you can make from that is so much more than whatever you paid for it. If you think about it, like long-term wise, like that $3,000 was a lot, but like the amount of stuff that I learned from it and how long it probably would have taken me to actually do that on my own, like not even relevant to me now. That 3,000 wasn't even, it's a drop in the bucket compared to that.
Trying to think of like what kind of return on investment you probably got on that if you actually like ran the numbers.
I was making like 2K a month. I didn't hit my first 10K month until July. So at that point in time, I think I made maybe, I don't even know, maybe 15,000 total.
Mm-hmm.
Not even 15,000. No, not even 15,000.
In July.
Yeah, July was my first
Wow.
10K.
So everything was very backloaded then.
Mm-hmm.
So if I want to do $1 million, I should probably take a little bit less pressure off myself to hit 100,000 in Q1.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I did it. I did 10K my first month. I did 20K the next month, and it just kept going. It just kept stepping up. So like every
Mhm.
month I was trying to at least, double. So I did 10, 20. I think I did 40 the next month, and then 60. Then I did 100 and almost, I think I did 150 the following month. So
Call it right now. What do you think you're going to do this year? 2023. January 27th right now.
the goal was 2.5.
2.5 million.
Mm-hmm. With consideration that I'm using some of my capital to do real estate investing. Could I do more? Yeah. But I am taking some of that money out. So it's not going to be continuously
What
in the
is
business.
a bigger constraint for you between finding profitable products or actually just like having the capital and the cash flow to buy them?
Well, 100% the cash flow, 100% the
Really?
money, the capital. It's just because it's just stupid. But my like obviously my credit score is not that great right now because my Capital One card, I didn't realize it does report to credit. So if anybody listening has a Capital One Spark card, that the 1.5% one, pay that thing off because it will wreck your score. So
Mhm.
it wrecked my score over 55 points. So it is dropped below. It's like a 650 right now.
That's not good.
It's horrible. I had it up to like a 720, almost a 720 before this happened. And so right now the problem is the credit score is trash. So nobody is going to let me get a credit card with them anyway.
Yeah.
Number two, when my credit score was actually good, when it was above 700, I applied for a Chase business card through a banker connection that I have, to get a higher limit on the card. So like if I had applied normally, I may be only able to get like 10,000, but with
Mhm.
him, I was trying to get over 100K because I was spending 175
Just be like,
a
hey, dude,
month.
look at my numbers. Look at these orange bars, bro.
Like
You see
here,
these orange bars?
yeah, and like here, like I can spend 175 easily. And I was declined. And so I was like, okay, like let's do a reconsideration. I said, I'll take okay, like that's fine. I'll take anything pretty much at this point in time. And so they came back and they said that they unfortunately couldn't give me anything. They couldn't give me $5,000, mind you. The lowest limit they can give you is 5,000. They wouldn't even give me a card because they said that I don't have any other credit cards that the credit line is larger than like a couple $1,000s.
Because you only have you don't have credit cards, you have charge cards.
Yeah, I've got a charge card, and then the highest one I have on is it's 10K. Actually, yeah, I have one. It's 10K. It is 10K. I forgot about that card.
Mhm.
Yeah, it basically it's not a significant amount enough that they would basically give me a credit card. And I'm just sitting here like, okay, excuse me. I just did a 1 million in revenue in the last year, and you're telling me you can't even give me $5,000. And what makes it even better is that I just bought my Jaguar, and it was through Chase. And so I'm like, buy, you let me buy a Jaguar with your money, but you can't give me a $5,000 credit card.
Yeah, a $5,000 business credit card that you're like, hey, dude, I can show you on my phone on my Seller app or
Exactly.
on my
And I
Seller
have
Central app.
documentation. I have my whole profit loss, everything. I have a bookkeeper does everything. I have
Yeah.
everything to show you. But you would let me buy that Jaguar, but you will not let me get a $5,000 credit card.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so that's the biggest thing for me right now. And people always say, it's so easy to get credit cards. It's so easy to get loans. Like money shouldn't be an issue when you're selling so much money. Well, newsflash, it is. It is an issue for a lot of people. Even though I'm selling that much money, selling that much product, and I'm making that much money a year, it still isn't enough to, I guess, sway people to trust me. So that's like the biggest thing. And then, finding people that will loan to a business that's less than a year old. It's usually 2 years. And so like, I'm not even to the year yet. It's not even a full year. So that's just thing.
That's pretty insane. Let's say hypothetical scenario, you could just get handed over $100 million, right? Just unlimited money, right? Infinite money hack.
I love that. That'd be great.
How quickly do you think you could scale your Amazon store if there was just no constraint of capital?
Very quickly.
To what numbers?
I could do 8 figures. I mean, it wouldn't be that hard. I mean, because the suppliers that I have, they get such large volumes of stuff. Like I mess up on deals all the time because I don't have any money. So like, easy for me. I could do it. And especially being higher ASP, it doesn't take a whole lot to spend, $100,000. $100,000 may only be a couple pallets or 3 pallets full of higher ASP stuff. So talking, the truck could be, $500,000.
I always think it'd be so badass to. I was telling Oscar this the other day. If I can get to a point to where I can fill up like a legitimate truckload, I'm gonna go fly out to whatever city that truckload is being sent from. I'm gonna ask the driver, like, "Hey, man, this is all my stuff. Can I just drive with you and just see the process of it getting delivered from the warehouse to the prep center, or like from the prep center to the Amazon warehouse? Like, can I just go on a road trip with you for a couple days, however long this takes? Like, is that cool? I just think that'd be cool. I don't know. One of my pipe dreams. So I'm seeing, I mean, you telling me that one is insane with, I mean, wholesale obviously is a massive opportunity, but like online arbitrage also seems like a massive opportunity as well. I don't see why either of those is an opportunity. And this is one of the things I wanted to ask you. Let's say Nike, why do they, I mean, there's people making millions of dollars a year profit just buying and selling Nikes. Why does Nike not sell on Amazon themselves? Like, why do these brand owners, like, they understand, like, it's not small amounts of money. Why does every brand owner just not kick every, third party seller off and just file ICP complaints and say, like, fuck you, these are our sales? Like, why do they not do that?
I don't know if they're just so wrapped up into whatever channel that they're doing. So like they're doing well with their website, they're doing well with, in-store sales, and they're just like, you know what I mean? We're happy with that amount. Like that's your headache. Like, I don't know. I don't know if that's just it or not. I've always wondered, like, Nike, people make a lot of money off these Nike listings. Why don't like Nike just, I don't know. I don't know if it's just because they're just good. They're like, we make, X amount a year. And that's just one more headache to adding on Amazon. Cause we all know how Amazon is. Amazon's not the most seller friendly.
Not seller friendly, user friendly. Yes. Consumer friendly, customer friendly. Absolutely. Yeah. Seller friendly. Not the greatest.
No.
This is a question that I think a lot of beginners ask. Then I want to be respectful of your time. And I just realized we're already close to 2 hours. So we can wrap things up. I had the impression, because I knew about online arbitrage for years, and I never decided that I wanted to do it until I started following Oscar, and then I started following Side Hustle Experiment. I just started seeing every day, hey, here's my orange bars, meaning like, hey, here's my sales. So I am noticing that there's massive amounts of opportunity within online arbitrage and also wholesale and private label. And there really is not a point of saturation, even though there's tons of YouTubers, Miles, I could name off 20 off the top of my head, but like there's tons of YouTubers that are talking about it, but still it hasn't gotten to a point of oversaturation. Do you think it would be possible that it would hit a point of oversaturation or no?
No, I think if you just look at the data from the last few years, even during Black Friday, they had the highest amount of online sales for Black Friday. And so, I mean, it's just going to keep continuing to grow. And with time, things are going to get more and more efficient. They're going to have like drones dropping stuff in your yard. And like, you know what I mean? Like, it's going to be like obsolete going to stores in person. Like, you can just get everything online. And it's great for people who are aging that still use technology to have their stuff delivered to their house. They don't have to go out and potentially, you know, slip and fall, or, you know, whatever, maybe they can't even drive, whatever the case may be. They can just have it sent to their house. Maybe if you work long hours, you don't want to have to go to the store. You just send it to your house. And so I think with time, obviously it's going to keep growing, and it's going to be a lot different. It's going to be a lot different here in the next probably 10 or 20 years.
Okay. Last question. Because I absolutely am obsessed and dedicated to doing what you did. But the only thing that I think about right now is hitting $1 million in revenue on Amazon in my first year. What advice would you give to me?
Just, you got to build your confidence, and that's like the main one. Two things to scale aggressively: capital and confidence, the 2 C's. And that is honestly that's like the playbook to doing your first, you know, 7 figures in the first year. Because 0 to 10,000 in sales is the hardest. You know, you've got no foundation, you don't know how to use tools, you don't know where to buy stuff at, no coupons, all that stuff. Everything's just brand new and have hardly any idea what's going on. But as you get up to 10K, you're starting to build, you're starting to figure out what sourcing techniques you're good at, and you're going to start refining those processes and get better and better. And then you're going to outsource and hire other people. But that's honestly the 10 to 100K jump is just, it has to do with confidence and capital, you know, confidence in purchasing heavier and buying deeper, like just being able to say, okay, I normally buy 10, but now I'm going to buy 50, or I'm going to buy 30 instead. And then capitalizing on whatever products that you sold in the past that are doing well and going deeper on them so you can stay in stock longer. And then obviously you're capturing more sales. So honestly, the biggest thing is gaining that confidence, and the gain confidence, the only way.
Hey, are you here?
Yeah, but cut off.
I think your internet connection. Okay, so it's saying that my internet connection is unstable. Okay, well, I expected that. It cuts you off a little bit early. I'll just edit that out. But I did miss the end of your rant. Thank you for that answer. By the way, what do you want to plug?
My Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, they're all FBA Makayla. So always willing to help out. I try to answer my messages as quick as possible, but sometimes they do get kind of backlogged. But like I said, I try to answer them as best and fast as possible.
Cool. Makayla, thank you for coming on the podcast. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. I had a good time.